Welcome back to the Something in the Wilderness podcast. Today, we won't be digging into an Andrew McMahon song like we usually do, because sometimes we get to sit down with an artist whose music intersects with Andrew's world. Jason Singer is the creative force behind Michigander. He's been releasing music and touring for the past decade or more. Later this month, he'll release his second full-length album as Michigander. They've toured with Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, Dawes, Manchester Orchestra, Sydney Sprague, and many more in the past few years. They've also played countless festivals, some of which include Bonnaroo, Austin City Limits, Ocean's Calling, and the recent Andrew McMahon's Holiday from Real Cruise, of course. Their new album, Over Before You Know It, drops less than 2 weeks after this episode will be released, followed by a major fall tour across North America. I've personally had the opportunity to see Michigander live a few times, and we'll see them again in this November in Columbus. I'm excited to spend some time talking to Jason about the new record, about his songwriting, touring, and the journey that's brought him to this point in his career. So welcome to the podcast, Jason.
Thank you. That was a nice intro.
Yeah.
I was very pro.
Thank you.
I'm like on NPR or something.
Yeah, I knew most of that, but like some of the stuff, it was cool to learn, actually. I didn't realize you've played so many festivals, actually.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like there's way too many to list here.
We've done them all.
That's really cool, and quite a touring roster, too. As we'll definitely get into, I'm impressed with the consistency that you've toured for the last decade and the consistency which you've put out music. You are about to release your second album, but you've been consistently putting out music for like a decade now.
Yeah.
So definitely want to talk more about that.
Yeah, I started the band in 2014 and then didn't put out any songs until 2016. That's when I put out my first single.
Uh-huh.
Then the first EP was in 2018, and then 3 EPs after that, a whole record after that, and now I'm on my second album.
Yeah,
coming out
Over
soon.
Before You Know It.
Yeah.
I also wanted to let you know that we have something in common right off the bat. We're both Michiganders originally.
Oh, amazing. Where are you from?
I'm from the Detroit area. Are you familiar with the Detroit area at all?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Mount Clemens?
Oh, yep, I know where that's at, yeah.
Okay. In fact, I was looking at your, Concert Archives touring history. I was curious to where you played your first shows, and if that's to be, believed in the way that, I don't know how accurate that record is, but the first show that's listed is Port Huron, Michigan, in, I think, 2014. Does that sound right?
I did play in Port Huron. I think it was, was it Marine City?
I didn't see that on there, or maybe I missed it.
Oh, you know what? There used to be another band called Michigander.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and they were from Port Huron. They weren't a band very long, and then they changed their name, and then I didn't even know about them, and then I started my band, but I'm pretty sure they have the Michigander band Gmail. I have Michigander Music at Gmail, but there was another band called Michigander. I forgot about that. I think they were no longer from like when I first started, because I was unsure if I should do that. I was already in it by the time I knew about them, but thankfully I think they ended.
Okay. I really like the name, and what is kind of cool about wearing your merch for me, being from Michigan, and I know this isn't the same for people in the other 49 states, even if they're a fan of Michigander, but wearing your shirt is kind of, is twofold for me in terms of like cool factor, for me anyway. Like, it's wearing the shirt of a band I enjoy, but it's also like, people are like, oh, Michigander. Yeah, because I'm from Michigan. But there's also a band called Michigander, by the way. So I get to explain that.
But you're also in Ohio, right?
I am. I'm currently in Columbus, Ohio.
So are people just like tripping you on the streets because you're representing Michigan and in Columbus nonetheless?
Not because of the shirt. No, not at all. No, people are pretty cool. I went to Michigan State University, so that usually riles the feathers a little bit more than just the fact that I'm from Michigan, just because it's, football and
totally
Big Ten University. So even though it's not the Michigan, the University of Michigan, so I get a little bit of that. But it's actually toned down a bit since I've lived here somehow. I've been here like 15 years.
Oh, wow. I love Columbus.
Yeah.
Great place.
Speaking of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just love Columbus. That's all.
Yeah. Well, you'll be here in November, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah. Have you ever played Scully's before?
I played there once opening for a band. And then we headlined there last year at our last tour in
Last
November
year.
of 2024. I think we played a show there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? That was during the first Holiday from Real cruise, I believe. I believe it was the same week because I
In
remember thinking,
November.
yeah, I remember
I think you're
thinking
right.
it was the same week as we were gone in Miami for our first cruise. So
Yeah. It was the day after the election.
yeah, that sounds about right. It was
Yeah.
it would have been the same week. We were 7th through 11th or something
Okay.
like
Yeah,
that.
that makes
So
sense.
yeah,
That makes sense.
interesting. Well, now I know I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Now it's coming back to me. So, how did you start with the name Michigander? I mean, obviously we could say that it's because you're from Michigan, but like, was that that seems like a very conscious choice to pick a name Michigander. Your name is Jason Singer, which is also a great name for a musician, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. I remember I was playing like some shows in like 2014 or something, or like 2013 maybe, and I had some guys playing with me, and it's always been kind of a revolving cast of characters until, the last couple of years it's been a lot more consistent
Okay.
with Connor, Jake, and Aaron, who are usually always with me now. I remember being in New York, and I was thinking like, man, I was with my buddy Adam, and I was like, I wish I had a band name. Or a project name for what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, call it Michigander. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. And it's a fun name. But also, a lot of people pronounce it wrong. They write Michigander. But it's
Michigander.
Gander. It's Gander, baby.
Yeah, Gander.
But yeah, I guess there was a lot of weight on my shoulders too, representing the state well. And so... But yeah, that's why I named it. I'm from Michigan. You can never change where you're from.
That's true. Yeah.
And so I guess that's kind of it. Yeah.
You may get this too. My dad tells me never forget where you're from. Despite the fact that I've lived in 4 different states, I'll always be from Michigan. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So now you're in Nashville, right?
I have lived in Michigan, or I've lived in Nashville for about 5 years now. Really love living down here. It's cool for music stuff and. It's easier to tour out of here, and a lot of collaboration and things that are great for artists and things that are not so great for artists, to be honest. But overall, pretty good place to do music and do what I do, and I'm grateful to live here right now. I'll definitely move back to Michigan eventually, but
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I love it there.
Yeah.
I live in like West Michigan, but for now, this is home. This is where I'm at. I'm in my house right now. Yeah.
West Michigan is so much different than the East Side, and I didn't realize that growing up. I was completely sheltered from going to Western Michigan, not intentionally, I'm sure. Yeah. It's just like when we'd vacation, we'd go out of state to different states surrounding us, and even into Canada. But we never went to Western Michigan, and I started going there maybe into college and a little bit after, and then I've since vacationed there a couple of times, and I was like, it is beautiful out here.
It's so nice, right?
Yeah. I recommend it. And I think if you've been to Detroit, that's great for different reasons, but don't let Detroit represent like the entire state of Michigan because there's such different areas of Michigan.
It's so interesting. Like you have Detroit area and that's a whole thing. And then you have like Ann Arbor and that's like a totally different thing. And then you have the west side with Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo. And then if you go up north, there's Traverse City. And then like going to the UP too, it's...
Oh my gosh.
I mean, there are obviously other places that are like beautiful. Like we just got to go to Alaska, and that felt unbelievable in like another planet. And we've been to all over California and all these other places, but Michigan feels like it has such a diverse like scene of like scenery. You have like a big city, you have like cornfields and flat, boring part, and then you also have like West Michigan, which is like hilly and cozy and nature, and then you go up north and like Traverse City feels like, I don't know, like a resort town. And then you go up to like the UP and it's like, it feels in some ways like Alaska.
Right.
It's so far in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it's such a cool place. There's not a lot of, I would argue there's not a lot of states that have that much like diverse climate or not climate, but like, you know what I mean? Like scenery and stuff. Like California probably. Yeah. But a lot of other places I just feel like don't really have that. And we get all the seasons too there. And like a West Michigan winter is way crazier than an east side winter, and just because of the lake. So, Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know a thing about Lake Michigan growing up, really, except that it existed and where it was.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, there's beaches in Michigan, like cool, nice beaches in Michigan. This is
So
crazy.
nice. So
Yeah.
nice. Love it over there.
Yeah. So I want to remind you, you may not remember, but we briefly met on the Holiday from Real a few months ago, and
Okay, cool.
it was very brief. And I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate what you did. I was wearing this exact shirt that I'm wearing right now that you pointed out earlier, and I didn't want to approach you. We happened to see you at breakfast, and you called me over, and you were like, "Hey, come here, man," and I was like, "Oh,
Uh,
that was so nice of you. Thank you for
oh
that." So we
yeah.
took a
That
picture together.
that was such a fun that was like one of the best times. That whole cruise and getting to be around all of Andrew's fans and all the people that love music and are there for music and getting to meet people. It was a whirlwind of a
It
time.
was.
It was definitely exhausting but it was just so fun, and it's hard to remember everybody that I met. I mean, I felt like I was just meeting people every second of every day, and it felt like summer camp in a way or something. Like it
That
didn't
is one way I've described it. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't really feel like there was like this, like, you go to like a music festival and there's like this separation of the fans and the artists because like it's just how they're built. But this just felt so, it just felt so like communal, and the community of like Andrew's fans and all the other bands. The Maine obviously has a lot of fans that were on the cruise too, and
Hmm.
all these people. And it just really felt like there's no fake there's no fake, like it just felt like everybody's in on it and we're all
Yeah.
together on this thing. And like Andrew's just like bopping around, and I don't know how he does what he does ever. He's always just like go go go
He's
go.
everywhere.
Dude, the crate, if we're like giving some praise to Andrew on this thing, he remembers everybody. And
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. I mean, we toured with him for 7.5 weeks, and every night there'd be like this meet and greet line, and just all the people and I would like watch because we were sound checking, but he would like remember things about all these people, and it's really, and like the Maine are the same way, and I'm sure there's tons of other bands on this cruise too, but it was so inspiring. I'm going on a tangent, sorry,
No,
but
no problem.
it was so inspiring to me to like see these artists who are like at a higher level than I am, who are like career musicians, just like actually like caring about the people and the audience and like knowing the people and like yelling at them from stage. Like Andrew does that, and
Yeah.
being around him and being like, I've got to spend a lot of time with him, and being around all that is so encouraging and like a great role model in a way for for what I'm doing.
That's so
And
cool to hear.
yeah, so I mean, I just felt like I was like kind of nervous about it at first on the cruise, being like, everywhere I go, I'm gonna like run into people and like have to talk, but I was just like, this is awesome. Like this is what the music's about. Like there are
Yeah.
times, like it's different than a tour because you're like you can get sick meeting a bunch of people and doing all that,
Sure.
and you can get exhausted after doing 7.5 weeks. But for that weekend, it just felt like everybody was all in, and it takes a special type of band and artist to do a cruise like that, I think.
It does. And there's something to be said about you and the guys that you tour with too, because Andrew said several times, both on that ship but also off the ship to his fans, he says, I'm very intentional on who I choose to bring on that cruise, who I invite on that cruise. They're not only artists that I love, that I want fans of mine to support, but also they're just good human beings. I know he said that several times. So that
Yeah,
also speaks volumes about not only your music, but about who you and your crew are. So
yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
yeah,
He's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And obviously, a lot of people listening to this podcast know you through Andrew McMahon's music when you toured with Andrew. For someone who hasn't yet listened to the Michigander catalog, how do you describe what you guys are about or what your music's about?
I mean, I grew up like loving. I feel like I really like got into music in like 2008, that
Hmm.
era. And I never really had like an emo phase. I know there's like a lot of crossover between like Andrew's music and that, but like the bands that I was like obsessed with. I mean, in high school, I didn't really have like a radio station or anything, and I kind of grew up in like small town, and so the music that I was like presented with was music from like my local library, and so I'd go and get CDs and whatever was on the end caps. You know, you got like Oasis and U2 and Coldplay and
Yeah.
like just stuff like that, and the White Stripes and Bob Dylan and Nora Jones, John Mayer, and things like that. And that's all I had to listen to. So that definitely influenced what I do now. And I feel like the music I make would have like really done well in like 2009 or 2010 indie rock scene. So I think I really definitely feel like an indie rock guy in the sense of like that era. If so, bands like that are kind of what I would say. But you know, I always describe our band as very hard soft rock.
Hard soft rock. Okay.
Yeah, because like I mean, we can go for it like when we need to and want to. But also, it's like we have that nice sensibility.
The sensitive side. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember rocking out to a lot of the songs on the pool deck back a few months ago, and yeah, you guys definitely. And I saw you on the New Friends tour, so I've seen your rock show. I know what you guys can do, and it's making me want to come back and see you guys again for sure.
Dude, how cool was that? How cool was that? The pool deck show.
That was great. Like
it started like raining in a minute, and I was like, we're in the middle of the ocean, and it's raining. This is like this is unbelievable.
It was just such a good feeling. Like it was this moment in time that I'll never forget, because so many of my friends that I'd either met on the cruise or the previous cruise or through the fan base, like, were around on that pool deck. So we were all just kind of like looking at each other during the set, in between songs, like high fives, and like, that was just actually your set was a pretty memorable moment for me on the pool deck. So I really enjoyed it. I didn't awesome. I didn't catch that super unique set, but I heard about it from some good friends where you guys did a band practice set in the atrium, apparently.
Well, this is what happened. I'll tell you the story behind it. When we got booked to play the cruise, I was told we're going to play 3 sets. And I was like, okay, can one of them be like acoustic? And they're like, yeah. And then I think I saw like Floor or somebody playing the atrium. And I was like, we're supposed to play acoustic in here? This is like a party vibe inside the atrium. Like, no, this is not going to work. And so I just like told the guys, I was like, hey, I definitely had a little bit too much wine. So maybe this is why I suggested it. But I was like, hey guys, what if we just like goofed around and like didn't do anything like we normally do, and let's do some covers, that we used to do in like high school. And everyone's like, sure, I guess we'll do that. And we probably didn't play very well, but we had a really good time. Yeah, it was called Michigander Band Practice.
Yeah, well, I know some people that were in there that had I'm sure an equally good time, because
it felt fun. It was very fun. It was very fun.
It just seems like a cool opportunity to do something really unique that you wouldn't get to go do on tour, because you want to put on a certain show when you go out on tour to 33 cities that you're going to this year. And so it's just a different vibe, right? It's hey, we have 3 sets, let's do something different, something that they won't see anywhere else in the world. So I thought that was pretty cool when I heard about that. I remember my friend Celeste and my other friend Julie coming out of that show, and they were like, "Oh, you missed it! Like you wouldn't believe like what just happened." So, and they were describing it, so they were very excited.
It was very, very fun.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on this earlier, Jason, but from my perception, Michigander began as essentially a solo project, but it feels like the universe has maybe expanded a little bit, and I could be wrong in that. And again, you touched on this with talking about Connor and Jake and Aaron. Can you talk about the differentiation between Jason Singer and Michigander, who's involved, and how that began versus how that's going now?
Yeah, I mean, for Wikipedia's sake, Michigander is like a moniker of what I personally do. I never really wanted to be like a solo artist, but in the last couple years, it has definitely felt more of like a band. The guys have been playing in the studio and sometimes writing and stuff.
Okay.
So there's a little more to it now. It's like the E Street Band, I guess, or something. But there's like Bleachers at Bon Iver, and like that's kind of a solo project, but it's really just like the culmination and the sound of the people in the community around me.
Okay.
And that's kind of because like on the record, you're not only hearing the guys, who, and like sometimes not, it just kind of depends on who's playing what. But they'll just be like, yo, so-and-so, a friend, you come on in and sing on this and come on in and play percussion on this. And it's just, that's kind of how I've been doing things. And it's still fun to go out and like play a solo show and still do all that kind of stuff. But it's always a little different too, because we have a buddy named Dylan. He makes music as Young Ritual. He's also plays with us a good amount of times too. And it's a little bit of an ever-evolving thing, but it has kind of solidified into kind of a select few people.
I was pretty sure the guys that you play with are starting to look familiar because I've seen them a few times now, and I was pretty certain that. And then as I'm looking through the album liner notes here, I ordered the self-titled vinyl back around Christmas time,
awesome.
And I was looking through that, and I was surprised that where is it? Here it is. It says all songs written by Jason Singer. Additional writers include, and some of your bandmates are on that list. Some other guys and girls, and then performed by, and there's a whole cast of, I was surprised Abby Holiday is on here. I've seen her live.
Yeah.
And then, the guys you've mentioned, Aaron, Connor, and Jake. And I was surprised to see Butch Walker's name on here. I didn't realize he had any involvement with your album. So that's pretty cool.
He helped with it, and Abby Holiday and Eric Slick from Dr. Dog. He played on a song. That's kind of the cool thing about Nashville is you just can be like, you have all these friends and you're just like, oh, this song needs this thing. And it's so, like, the collaboration is so important to me. And so to be able to do that kind of stuff is one of the perks of living here.
That's really cool. Going back to the beginning, and you kind of talked about this a little. You touched on this, but I'm going to ask you specifically. You're a career musician, right? You're consistently releasing music, touring every year that I could tell anyway.
Yeah.
Since you started, and was there a moment or an experience that you knew that this was going to be the thing that you were going to do long term?
I think I always this was kind of the only thing that I was interested in, the only thing I kind of was kind of okay at. Even like in high school. I got to go on like a tour in like 2015 or something, play some shows, got to tour in like 2016 some, and like that was the first time I like made money. It was like I got to like tour, and it was a house show tour, and I was opening with a guy named Mike Maines. Mike Maines and the Branches was his band, and
okay, yeah, I've heard of them.
I got to tour with him, and I got to tour with just some other random bands here and there, and then like 2018, I put out my first EP. It was called Midland, and like I don't know what happened when I put that out. It just felt like it kind of became a little bit of a bigger thing than a local band.
Okay.
In a way,
so that was one moment for you.
That was definitely like a moment where it was like, oh, people are like, I'm playing a show in Detroit and there's like 700 people here, and you're like, oh, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Like, why are there many people here? Like, it always starts for any band when you're starting. You're just like playing music for your friends. It's like the genre is friend rock, and you're just playing these shows for your buddies and your buddies' friends, and like the barista, that you met like at the coffee shop, and eventually it just becomes more and more like someone else invites a friend, and maybe that one friend invites another friend, but it became a thing where it's like where I knew every single person in the audience, and when that's happening, you're kind of putting up like a little bit of a wall, being like, I know these people. I don't really want to do what I think I can. I don't want to make a fool of myself, so I'm not going to take any risks on the stage or and what I do. But then as it continued to grow, very modestly, continuing modest growth. It kind of like it's like strangers at the shows, and for some reason, since I don't know these people, I'm like willing to take more risks, or like. And I can't even give you like a pinpoint example, but like little things where I'm just like, oh, I don't mind if I kind of mess this up a little bit or look like an idiot. Like I'm okay with just like doing what I think is best. And when I would like say this to anybody is like when you just don't care about what other people think, people notice that and they're like attracted to it. And like that's when you get a little bit uncomfortable. Is like that's when the greatest stuff happens. And so I think that was part of the reason why it started to grow. And then I remember like a year later being like, okay, I don't know if I can do any more myself. I'm ready to like give up and quit. And I said, I'm going to go to South by Southwest and I'm going to bring this record that I made. And I got this song called Misery. And I think it's like think it's a big song, and I like ended up getting signed and getting management,
Mm-hmm.
and then things were cruising along, and then this thing called the pandemic happened,
Oh, yeah.
and then we made it through, and continuing to do the thing, been touring consistently, like you said, and releasing music, like you said, all the time. But yeah, there's always like tons of little moments where you're like, this helped. This is like a career defining moment, or
Mm-hmm.
like honestly, the New Friends tour, like that tour, really not only like helped us get in front of like a great audience. And the reason I'm probably talking to you today is because of that, but like it also like helped bring the four of us together closer. Like we didn't have a tour manager, and we're just the four of us in a van for 7.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And there's just along the way, there's always like little things where you look back and you go, that was a cool moment. And if you're comparing things from that moment to the moment we're in now, you can see a progression, and that's all that you can really ask for.
Yeah. That's awesome. I loved hearing that. I loved, like, you gave us the story from the beginning and to where we are today. I love this. Jason, let's talk about songwriting a little bit. So, and you talked about that vulnerability on stage, that genuine vulnerability that you have realized that is good to have on stage. It kind of opens you up and people notice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that your music has an undeniable sincerity to it as well.
Thank you.
And the vulnerability, I think, is part of that. With a lot of your songs, it comes through in the songwriting, even the sound, obviously the lyrics. When you write, where do your songs usually begin? How does that process begin for you?
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I have I have a folder in my phone, my notes app.
Mm-hmm.
There's like lyrics for songs. There's titles for songs, and like one-liners that I hear someone say or something. And so I just kind of compile them in there. And then when I go to actually sit down and write a song with myself or with someone else, I pull that lyric out. And like the cool thing about a songwriting session when you're not just by yourself is you spend, like, say you start at 11, you spend the first 40 minutes just yapping and talking about life.
Yeah.
And usually what happens in that little moment is what the song ends up being about inadvertently. Like it just kind of naturally flows into it. It's all part of it. It's part of the experience. But the like today I wrote a song I got to write with Jake Lamond and Ivory Lane. I guess everyone might know from the cruise and such.
Yeah, I saw her post on Instagram. I was going to mention that.
Yeah, we worked together today, and we just were chatting, and it ended up talking about like this time where me and Jake were on tour in Europe, and I was depressed and upset, and that's what the song came about from today. And it's a good song. It'll probably be heard one day by others. But yeah, it was just interesting. Like that's how it kind of goes, and there's also like my hard drive is just like full ideas and stuff, and there's no like one way it starts.
Okay.
But I fluctuate on my output. So sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's a little, it kind of goes all over the place. It's hard to nail it down, but I'm really grateful to do it at all.
It's really fascinating to me to hear the different ways a song starts, the different ways a song comes together.
Yeah.
Sometimes you work alone, sometimes you work with others.
Mm-hmm.
And then where the idea comes from. So thank you for sharing that, what you were doing today. That's like really cool in the moment here.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting the inside scoop right now. Like
the song was called Trendsetter.
Trendsetter. Okay.
So if that ever comes out,
yeah,
then you'll know we talked about it today.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. That is so cool. So as an album is about to be released of 10 tracks, you are still like writing as the inspiration strikes you, right?
Yeah, I kind of like do it ebbs and flows. So like right now, I'm doing a lot of sessions and trying to like just write to see what's going on. And then like I know that like once the touring starts, it'll be a lot harder for me to write, and I'll be just really trying to prioritize my time at home, being at home and resting. But right now, I'm kind of like in this weird in-between thing. Calm before the storm. About to get very busy.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to, no pressure, but just make some songs. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's my thing. It's my job.
We talk about Andrew McMahon songs on this show all the time, and we love to dig into the themes that come through in his music. Do you feel like there's any themes that you carry with you throughout your discography, or maybe in a certain era of your music? Do you have specific themes you return to?
I think a lot of mental health stuff is in my songs, and I think that's just a reflection of me trying to be honest and me trying to be a reflection of the current state of my life and the current state of culture. And I think that's the artist's job, is to be like a scribe of what's happening in the world, both personally and externally. I'm trying to like be like kind of revert to how I used to write songs a little more, where the audience doesn't need to know what every little line means,
Right.
and they can like kind of they can kind of connect their own meaning to things. And I know Andrew has a lot of lyrics like that I'll think one thing and he'll tell me no, it's about something else, or like when me and Andrew have worked on a couple songs together, it's always very interesting to watch his process and be like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. And then, that kind of thing. So that is, it's interesting. But yeah, I think like the mental health thing is probably just a common thing. And I think that just kind of stems from trying to be as honest as possible and as honest as I should be.
We appreciate that because, yeah, like you said, even if we don't know exactly what every line, every lyric means, we can identify with that theme. We can all identify with that theme of just
the feeling,
the feeling of it. Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to get through, the noise and the things that are getting in the way of us being happy and having joy and connection with other people. But getting to that place too, I find in your music as well. You get through it, but you eventually get there at times as well. So I really appreciate you as a songwriter.
Thanks,
and bringing
Appreciate
that
it.
to the forefront. And
Thank you.
making that okay, making it okay to be vulnerable and say those things, sing those things, and share with us from the stage. So really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything that feels more important today as a songwriter than maybe when you first started over 12 years ago or whatever?
Oh, that's good. That's a good question. I think it's more important now to like actually say something and try to be like honor the craft of songwriting and artistry and music, because I think the whole music system and the music industry is so inundated and flooded with bad music. Like there's just so much. There's so many people like doing things, in my opinion, for the wrong reason, and that that kind of stemmed from like COVID, people being home. Like I can play guitar, and they're just kind of like writing buzzword music to get it's like this influencer genre. It's like a whole thing that I'm like noticing, and I think that stuff is pretty bad, and bad for not just like objectively bad, but like music, like for the craft. It's like crowding the field.
Yeah.
In a way. And not saying like you shouldn't be able to make music, blah blah blah. Like not trying to be like an old man like music back in my day, but like there are musicians now that they're just basically influencers cosplaying as artists, and they're only doing it for like fame and clicks and likes, and that whole thing kind of blows my mind. I mean, I get it, but it's really discouraging for me to. That whole thing is just frustrating to me to see, because it's taking the people's attention away from something that is arguably more important. And I'm not saying like only my music's important. I don't even have to like the music to say that it's like objectively important. There are plenty of bands that I don't like listen to, but I respect their work ethic. I respect their time and all the work they put into their stuff, and you can tell they care about it and they're trying to say something. The whole thing with like the TikTok thing kind of has changed.
Yeah.
Music in a way that's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I can identify with some of what you said from the listener standpoint too. It does crowd the field to find the genuine the genuine stuff,
totally.
The genuine music and that you can connect with. And yeah, and I think it's great what you said is that having a message, having something important to say. and it is a little bit more important to you than it was before. And I hear that in your music. And based on what you said when we talked about the theme of some of your songwriting, or a lot of your songwriting, the mental health and just like being okay, or finding that way to be okay.
Yeah.
And what you have to do to get there. So I understand what you're saying, though, with all the noise that's around that we have to contend with as well. I mean, we feel it as listeners, too.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Let's talk about the new album, Jason. Let's dig into Over Before You Know It. It comes out on July 31st, so that'll be about 2 weeks after I release this episode. You've put out 3 singles into the world to whet our appetite: Taxi, Freaking Out, and the title and closing track, Over Before You Know It. So let's talk about this new collection.
Yeah.
Where specifically, how did this album begin? I was surprised, actually. I looked at the date. I was like, I feel like it wasn't that long ago that Self-Titled came out. And although I just like bought the physical copy like right before the end of last year, I was like, well, it must have come out earlier in the year. And I did look and I saw that, okay, it's been about a year and a half, but still, that's a short time frame in between albums. So how did this one begin?
Yeah, I finished the last one, and one of my managers said, "Hey, you should start working on the next one." I was like, "What? Already?" So I just kind of like, he's like, do you want to, like, let's just set a deadline and like, let's just get it going. And I said, okay, I've never had a deadline before. Let's do it. And I loved having a deadline, and I loved having that. I loved being kind of like, not forced, but kind of
challenged.
A little challenged. Yeah, a little pressure. The pressure was on to like make something on a timeline. And so, I just started working on it, and then, we set up recording dates, like those were on the books, and it was like, you have to have the songs ready by then. We have to turn it in by Christmas if we're going to start putting it out whenever, I don't know, April or whatever.
Yeah.
And we have the tour book, so like you can't, like that was kind of the problem with the last record, is we had the tour book, but the record didn't finish, and so we like had to do the tour anyway because it was on sale, and like we're not in a position where we could just like pull something down. So that was kind of a bummer with the last one, is like that we toured the record before it came out.
Oh, okay.
Kind of lame, as from a fan perspective. It's like you're going to this show and I'm not playing like the whole thing, but there's like 4 songs in the set that you've never heard before, and mixed in with like the songs you love and like you're into and you're vibing with. So that was probably a bad decision. Probably one of my missteps. But so now, like, we have the tour booked, you have to have it done. Like, we can't do that again. And so it just feels like really good to get it done. And so I don't remember exactly when I started working on it, but like all in all, between the writing and the recording, if you were to like clock in day to day, it probably took about 5 weeks.
Okay.
To write and record, kind of spread out over probably an 8-month period.
Okay, I was going to say that was a shorter timeline than I imagined until you said 8-month period. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah, but like in that 8 months, it was like if we were like on the clock, we were probably on the clock for like 5 weeks.
Gotcha. Okay, actual time in the studio or
songwriting
together.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. I appreciate your plain honesty there. You had this you were pressured a little bit with this deadline, and you were like, all right, challenge accepted. I'm going to write another album of the things, probably that, like you talked about earlier with songwriting, like the things that, may be out there, the things that maybe aren't there yet. And I'm going to come to the table and figure out what is going to be on this album. I myself, anybody who's listened to this podcast before knows that I'm an album guy. I call myself an album guy. So I love the value of a collection of songs that fit together, that an artist, for whatever reason, however they thought those songs fit together, put those songs together as one package.
Yeah.
I understand the value in dropping singles here and there as well, EPs, and I like those, but there's something about like not just the physical album, but like the putting on, even if I'm streaming it, putting it on, being like start to finish. Like I want to start with track 1 and I want to go track 10 and I want to hear the whole thing all the way through.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm really looking forward to about your new album. And I've honestly done that a lot with the Self-Titled album as well. I just like to listen to it straight through.
Yeah, that's how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Especially the Self-Titled. I don't know if you've heard it yet, but like it loops. The record from track 12 to 1, if it's on CD or whatever, it'll automatically loop.
I have not noticed that. I don't have the CD copy.
Maybe if it works on digital too, and then like if
Okay.
you flip the record, like the first song and the last song and the middle song, they're all in the same key.
Oh my gosh!
I put a lot of thought into the self-titled. Too much thought into unnecessary things into the self-titled.
Well, you just unlocked something for me, and now I get to go after this talk. I get to go enjoy it in a new way and listen for those little Easter eggs, I'm going to call them. So
yeah, there you go.
That is so cool. So thank you for sharing that. I am absolutely going to listen for that beginning, middle, end, and how it loops back around together. So.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad. I hope other people that know the record or maybe have heard it on here, they get to experience that too. I haven't really told anybody about it, so yeah.
That is awesome. So on the self-titled, there were different, there were multiple, additional, as listed in the liner notes, additional writers, musicians. Now on this new album, and you implied that this is true earlier, it sounds like your guys, Jake and Connor and Aaron, probably Dylan, did they play on this album as well?
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fun. Honestly, I think this record was the first time we were all in the studio at the same time, all four of us. Or five of us, at one point. I don't remember what song. I didn't even realize it, but Connor was like, I think this is the first time all five of us have been in the same room making a song. I said, that's so bizarre, but we did it.
It is nice with the technology and the way that songs can be built.
Totally.
That you can do it separately, but also I bet it was fun to all get together in one room and look around and be like, wow, we're doing this live right now. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Did you have other additional writers this time around on Over Before You Know It as well?
Yeah, I worked with Jeremy Lotito, who produced the record, Trent Dabbs, who's I've written with a good amount in the past too. We did Spitting Image together and a handful of other ones. And then I wrote with Colin Pastor and Jake Finch. They did like some stuff with like Lucy Dacus and Boy Genius and a bunch of others. And then that's kind of like the home team, I will say. And that's who I really love working with. And so I'm really thankful that I got to work with all of those guys on the songs.
I'm sure being in Nashville makes that a little bit more accessible to get all those people together to make the album. So I talked about being an album guy. So what does this album represent as a collection of songs to you?
That's a great question. You know what's interesting is like you're one of like the first handful of people I've gotten to talk to about the record yet, because it hasn't like you talked to a lot of like press and podcasts and stuff when you put out music, and you just DM'd me and I was like, yeah, let's just do it.
I'm flattered. Frankly, I'm flattered.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. The record is called Over Before You Know, and it's all about enjoying the journey because that's really all we have. And life is very short, and as you get older, it's very cliche to say, but it just seems to move faster. And I think like I wasn't like the last record I thought was gonna like change my life, and it didn't, just to be honest. And I remember being like pretty bummed about it and like really let it get me down into a dark place last year, and then kind of coming to terms with that and realizing like, oh, like I'm already winning because I'm like there's no better feeling than just getting in the van with your friends and playing music and being on the road and like touring, and like whether it be us just hopping in a car and playing, like an acoustic duo show in some random town in Pennsylvania, or whether it be like all five of us flying to Alaska and playing, to like 500 people in a remote town where the population's like 100 people. And then like going to play in front of 10,000 people at Lollapalooza or on a boat in the middle of the ocean. It's like, you can't beat that stuff. Like that is literally the dream. And it's like so important to like not be selfish and slow down and just enjoy those moments, because that is truly the only thing we get. We're not promised tomorrow.
Yeah.
And yesterday's gone. So just hop into where we're at and enjoy it.
Yeah, can't agree with you more on what you just said. I'm glad that you're getting a chance to enjoy it, and it is okay. I again appreciate your honesty, Jason.
Yeah.
It's okay to take those losses. What you feel was a loss hard. Or not meeting expectations. Maybe is the best way to put that.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. But also like focus on those wins and like
totally
see that, wow, live in the dream, literally. I know we say that as a joke, but like literally live in the dream. Like you are you've played, you said just about every festival in the U.S.
Yeah, I've gotten to play Red Rocks twice.
Yeah.
I've gotten to like do all the things, and everything else is just a bonus. You know, that's kind of how I'm trying to view it all.
Yeah, and now you get to put out this new album of material. People are going to hear it. You know, you're in a different place than you were when you wrote the last album. It was a different situation, it sounds like, especially with the fact that it was maybe not as much of a timeline prior and more of a timeline this time. Does this new album feel like a continuation of what you've been doing for 10 years, or does it feel like in any way a new chapter for you guys?
I don't know, I'm going to let the music speak for itself when it comes out. But I will say how I feel about it is it feels the same type of excitement as like how I felt when I first started making music and first started talking about music with people like yourself. And like, I was just like, oh, someone wants to talk to me about my songs? Okay, absolutely. Like, let's just go and let's do this. So I think for like a while, I was just kind of like, I don't want to talk. I'm just done talking about it. But in this moment, I feel really excited about it, and I just feel like this little sense of urgency behind it that like isn't for any particular reason. It's just like I'm ready to get this out there, and it comes out in like 2 weeks, and I think it's by far the best thing I've ever made. And I know you're always supposed to say that.
You're making me more excited about it.
But I actually mean it. It just feels so concise and edited. Like, I think the hardest thing as an artist is to edit yourself, because you have all these ideas and all these things you want to say, and all these like, I want to do guitar solo here and all these things, and it's just like very self-congratulatory and patting yourself on the back. And this time is like, I'm making a record that I think is awesome, trimming all the fat, just making something that every song is just gold, in my opinion. It might, that I'm sure people will disagree, and I am just like so stoked about it.
I know we've heard 3 songs already up to this point, and it's mid-July right now. Is there a particular song that we haven't heard yet that you're especially excited for people to hear, and like you're like, oh, they're gonna love that one, or like something about maybe a specific moment in a song that you're like, oh, I can't wait for people to hear that part?
There's 2 things that come to mind. There is a song on the record called "Let Go of You." It's a song. It's not like anything I've ever made, but it feels so authentic and myself. And that's kind of like the sleeper track of the record, I would say. Yeah. So I'm like very curious to see what people think of that. Yeah. But the song that I think is like the quote-unquote big song that the record label executives and all the management are excited about is a song called "Why, Why, Why." So that is a song that I'm very excited about. It's one of those songs that I'm like, how did I write this? I mean, obviously with the help of others, but how is this? It's one of those songs where I'm like, I don't know how this song's mine. Like, I feel like I tricked somebody. So I'm really excited for people to hear that, and I've got kept it really close to my chest, kept the cards down about that one. But I think that's like a knock on wood. I think that's a big tune.
Wow, it's quite possible we haven't heard the best of what's on Over Before You Know It yet. So
yeah, I think there's songs on. I think my favorite songs haven't been released yet from the record.
Really,
as the singles. So I mean, I love these songs. I love them all. But I think like if I had like gun to my head, had to choose my favorite song, it's one that probably isn't out yet.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I love the song "Freaking Out."
Thanks,
I posted on Instagram, I don't know, when it first came out, a month or 2 ago, and I was like, okay, found my new favorite Michigander song right here.
Oh, heck yeah.
It is such a good song. It's like that chorus hits, and it feels like you talked about "Let Go of You." That one feels authentically you as well. Like when I look back at your whole catalog, and I've seen you perform on stage with your band, like that one feels like, I just can't wait to see that one live.
It feels so good live. You know, I think the first time we played it was on the cruise.
Was it? Did I miss that one?
Yeah, we played that in the theater.
Oh, I missed that.
So,
okay.
Yeah. We didn't really tell anybody we were playing new songs, but we did play one new song.
Yeah.
And it was freaking out. But that one feels so good live. Cool. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for the whole thing to be out, but like that one I can't wait to like get out there and play that one more.
Yeah. Bring it out to the world live.
Yeah.
Something that always fascinates me as well, as like a collection of music, is like tracking, beginning to end. And you touched on that about the self-titled and how important that beginning, middle, and end was. the final track on this album is this title track.
Yeah.
I also want to say that the sound of that song, because we've heard that one, is very fitting for a closing track. Like I can completely imagine listening to the album through and that closing out an album. I think it's a good choice.
Thanks.
Was there something significant about that song title or song that made that the title of the album?
The album was called that before the song was written. I didn't really plan on having a song called Before You Know It.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the idea, and I went to like my last session before we kind of chose the songs. And so I was out in Connecticut, and I was working on tunes, and that one came. So it was the last song I wrote for the record. It's the last song on the album, but it's also like the bow of the record at the end of the play. You go and you bow. That's what that song is about, and that's the feeling of it. Obviously the song is kind of self-explanatory, but the song is about how stop trying to be something you're not and accept who you are and enjoy where you are and who you are and who you're with.
That's perfect.
Because it's over before you know it.
Yeah, that's what I took away from the sound of the song and the lyrics of that song. Is just
perfect.
Enjoy it in the moment. Enjoy the connections you have while you have them. Don't worry about what's next. I have trouble with that myself.
Yeah, everyone does.
I'm sure it's common, right? Like we're chasing the sun, right? We're know what's next. I got to look to what's next, but really we should just be focusing on right here and now.
Yeah,
in that moment. So, I did want to ask you about this because this is more of the, I don't know, I'll call it the business end more than the creative side of things. But how's promoting music and the tour for an independent artist like yourself? Like, how has it changed over the years? What's it like today? And what are some of the challenges or even successes you've had to share with other musicians like yourself?
I think it's like a pretty two-sided coin. It's like on one side, you're like, oh, amazing, I can post my stuff on TikTok and things and find new fans, and that has been the case. There's plenty of people in the Gander community that have found the music through the internet. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
I'm also like on the other side of it being like, I have spent the last 12 years or so building an audience of followers on Instagram and things, and I've never had a viral moment or any like thing that like really pushed like my numbers. And I feel like it's hard for me to communicate to these people about what's going on. Like I could post about a tour and then people will miss the tour date that's in their city, and a week later say, when you coming to Los Angeles? And I'll be like, we were literally there on Tuesday. So that is very frustrating. And it's the same with music. Yeah. It's because these big tech companies, they want your money to promote your music to the people. They want, and it's like it's kind of, it's very discouraging, to be honest. And we're just trying to figure out ways to like communicate directly with people. We have like the Michigander Discord, which I assume some people in here are a part of that are listening right now. And
including me.
Yeah. And it's like I don't really know how it all works, but I really enjoy having that. And that we trying to build like the text and email list, which is old school. Like you used to go to the merch table and sign up for things, but it's easier than ever to get your music out there, but it's harder than ever to get it heard.
I can completely see that. I like the way you put that, because that's what I think about as a non-artist, but I can see it, right? And I was chatting with a friend who's also a musician recently, and it's like, so you have this new collection of music and you have some singles ready to go, and you're like, now what? It's like, how do I get this in people's ears?
Yeah.
It's out there. Anybody, honestly, little girl down the street that my kids know put a song on Spotify. Like kind of like you were talking about earlier. I hate to say it, but like she can put a song on Spotify. But like, how do you get past all that to the music? The music that people should hear. So
the other thing is like you have to be like grateful at the same time as like how many people I get to meet because of the internet.
It's a good segue though for connecting with your audience. You brought up the Gander Discord, and I know I think you started a Substack this past year, and so you're finding different, and I'll call them more unique ways. I know other artists are doing it too, of course, but like more unique in that it's not just Instagram, it's not just Facebook, it's not. There's that stuff too. You gotta do that stuff too, and maybe TikTok. I don't know. I'm not on TikTok myself, but so you do the big ones, I'll call them, or whatever. And honestly, that's how I get a lot of my music news is through Instagram. You know,
right, same.
I look at Instagram, but like the Discord is something different. I'm a member of Andrew McMahon's Discord. I'm a member of your Discord. I usually use it for just individual group chats, but like those are two that I'm active on, Andrew's and yours. Do you find that to be like a viable way to connect with your fans, to just find those more like deeper connections, I'll call them, rather than just like a Instagram comment?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are people in there that like I'm so bad with names, but I recognize people from like the shows that are in there, and then that's always cool. And I feel like that has created like a meaningful, more connection with fans. Maybe even if it's just like a couple dozen of them.
Yeah.
You know, I think we have like, I don't know, we have quite a few people in there, but there's probably like 24 people that are like active.
Yeah.
And we have a Wordle group thing in there, so people
I
can
saw that.
share their Wordle scores, which is great.
There was a music league at some point in your Discord.
There was.
too.
Which I don't know anything about that. Someone else did all that. I'm kind of dumb when it comes to. I'm pretty dumb when it comes to like technology things that are like of the modern era.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to make a post. I figured out Zoom. I figured out my camera today.
You did. Good job.
Thank you.
I love how you drop in sometimes, and I think I was
On the Discord?
Yeah, on the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was actually on one of these calls right here one time when the first time that you dropped in, and I opened Discord after I was done. I was like, oh my gosh, like Jason was in Discord, like chatting up with people, and like a bunch of I'm friends with a lot of people who are active in there, and they're all chatting back and forth. I was like, oh, I missed all that, but I did have at the same time, again, enjoy where you are. I did have a great conversation at that same moment.
Cool.
But it is cool, though, so there's been several times when you've just dropped in, you've been like, hey, what's everybody up to? What's everybody listening to? Like, you just kind of start topics, start conversation in there. And I appreciate that. That's cool.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's a good way to connect. Speaking of fan connections, you've been touring for a long time, and you've done all these festivals, and you're about to go on another tour, which I definitely want to touch on before we're done today. But is there a specific like fan connection experience, or like maybe a set of experiences that you've had that really stick out to you? Something that's like, man, this is maybe bigger. I don't know, like something that really sticks with you. You know what I mean?
There's so many of them.
I bet there is.
And by so many, I don't mean like hundreds. I mean like a handful, like a few dozen, like really cool conversations about like what a song means to somebody, or and you get the messages a lot from people, and it's I try to read them all and like respond to most of them. But it's so cool that like the music that I like make in a bedroom like resonates with someone, halfway around the country, or even like in the next city over or whatever. Yeah. It's so cool. Those are like the moments where you're like, damn, this is like so special. Like there's been times where like there's this family that came to, I'm probably going to get some of the details wrong, but I think it was in Columbus actually, at Rumba Cafe. There was like...
I love that venue, by the way.
It was like the last time we played there, apparently someone had been like, this is our dad. Like our dad like loves your music, and like he doesn't have much time left, and he's coming to the show tonight. And like he really loved it, and I had to like sign some stuff for him and the family, and that was really cool. And stuff like that is always just kind of puts it into perspective for you. It's like most people that listen to my music probably don't know anything about me or the music, or like what I'm like, or what I look like, or what I believe, and that's great because the music just gets to speak for itself, and the music gets to impact and do something for someone that I probably could never do.
I love the way you put that with the music and how it can be a special connection for people. And I agree. It's pretty magical. I mean, if you think about it, it's pretty magical.
So cool, man.
An idea that you had and you thought to record it was important enough to record it, and then someone else connected with it and was like, wow, that's like everything to me now.
And not to bring it back to that McMahon guy, but it's always so cool hearing like those stories of people that meet him and get to talk to him, and like, you know, people that maybe struggle with cancer and other medical things, and how much his story has like helped people like get through really hard times. And you know, I always heard people talk about their hard times, and I always like heard people talk about them and didn't really relate to them until like had like some trauma in my life in like the last 5 years, which was like all pretty public. Like broke my leg, my wife got in an accident, my mom had like a brain tumor, all these things, just boom, 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 and then pretty severe anxiety. But ever since like having those experiences, like it kind of breezed past me, but it really gave me a lot more like empathy for people, and hearing people's stories and like being heard feels so good. Like when I tell my story to somebody and being heard feels amazing. And I think that's just like the music. It can like really help people more than you know and more than you realize. Sometimes it just feels like a selfish job, but oftentimes you get those messages where people actually have like some story where your music like maybe talked them down off a ledge or held their hand while someone they watched died, you know. So all these things. And yeah, I don't take that for granted.
Yeah, and I know you don't. I'm glad to hear that, because I described it as like this magical event that takes place sometimes where you connect with someone's art, and it's needed. We need it, you know, as listen. I'm sure you're the same as a listener of an enjoyer of music.
Absolutely.
You know, you need that. It's soothing, and it's helpful, and it also soundtracks joy sometimes. And soundtracks
totally.
The successes and joys as well.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Andrew. How did that relationship with Andrew begin?
Andrew and I have the same managers.
Oh, okay.
And I think I met Andrew at South by Southwest a few years ago. I want to say like 2023, maybe 22. Yeah, and then we played a couple shows together. Then we went on the tour together, and then worked on some songs together. I don't think are out or anything, but we've written together, and you know, we got to do the cruise. And yeah, I really love him as a person, and just think he's a great human being. And I'm not just saying that. Yeah, he's a special guy. We've toured with a lot of people, and no shade to any of them, but Andrew has always been like out of his way kind to me and the guys. And I mean, his whole band and crew, obviously, we really love too. Yeah, it's a special thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I kind of solidified my fandom for you guys, was on the New Friends tour that you did with Andrew a few years ago.
Cool.
That was really cool to see you and Wilderness open for Andrew here in Columbus, where I live. And at the end, when you all, you know, both bands joined the Wilderness out on stage for New Friends. And that was a really fun moment, and kind of, again, solidified my fandom, but also like it showed the connection that you all have or built maybe on that tour. How did Andrew end up singing? I know he sings on the second verse of Spitting Image as like kind of a bonus track to your last album. How'd that come about?
You know, like the thing people do now is they have the feature versions of the songs that are already out. And I was thinking like, man, who would do this one? And I was like, oh, this sounds like an Andrew song. I wonder if he'd do it. And he came over one time. He was in Nashville, and he just came over to the house, and Konzo, my bass player, and I just recorded him, and that's how it happened.
Yeah.
He was nervous. I don't know why he gets so nervous about things. I think it's a front. If anyone confront him about it, no, just kidding. But he was so nervous about it for some reason.
Yeah, I wonder if it's part of his process. I don't know. Just like, you know, to kind of psych himself up or psych himself out of something. I don't know. Was there anything about touring with Andrew that was really significant that you kind of take with you when you go out on tour now? Something that you either learned, saw, experienced that just kind of you carry with you now when you go out?
I think we just have a lot more fun, take things less seriously, and yeah, definitely that.
Let's talk about touring, though. So you are, I mentioned earlier, I counted 33 dates between the end of July and or I think it's into December even.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys most looking forward to about this tour?
Just excited to get out there and do a new show, play new songs. That's kind of it, you know, mostly. I mean, I don't really know what to expect yet. Once we get out there, and it's just been a minute since we've done like a proper travel around every night and do a different city.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited for the. I'm just excited to play these new songs and get out there and see everybody again.
Yeah, I'm sure it's exciting to play songs off the new album that have maybe you've never performed them live before. I bet there's at least a handful of songs that you haven't performed live that will be on the tour, maybe.
Well, we've played them all live because of that one show. So we've played all the new songs. We when we announced the record, we played the whole album in full live here in Nashville at Third Man Records.
Oh yeah.
So
cool.
we got to debut this thing by playing it for people. So we've played them all.
Yeah,
and they all feel good. So yeah, that's the first time we've played every song on an album.
Every song on an album. Did you play it 1 to 10 straight through, or did you kind of
straight
bounce
through?
around?
And then we played a couple of the old songs too at the end.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Is touring now? Do you feel like, do you kind of go into it? You maybe you already answered this because you said you're just looking forward to having more fun this time, just kind of taking it easy, enjoying the moment. Do you have a different approach? Is it going to be? Should we expect anything different than what we've seen Michigander on stage before?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping it feels fresh. I think it will. It's like there's songs that we've been playing for 10 years, but now that there's like 2 albums out, there's some stuff that's going to go away.
Yeah.
Which is hopefully not too upsetting to fans, but I'm excited to have a new show and do things a little differently, and we're working on that now.
I personally love to hear the new songs off of a new album by a band I follow, so I think it does keep it fresh.
Especially if you've seen so many of the shows, you're like, I've seen the same song before, like,
right?
You know, like you want to hear some of the new ones, and I'm sure you want to hear some of the old ones too. But if the record's good, you want to hear the new record.
Yeah, I felt that way about Dashboard a few years ago when they played with Andrew. I was like, man, I want to hear those new songs because I saw all the songs from
all the hits,
all the right?
Years, yeah.
And then I felt the same about Yellow Card. I saw them in June. I was like, I've seen Ocean Avenue several times. I love that album, but I want to hear the new album. Like I want to hear play me 5 songs off the new album I have not heard live yet.
Yeah,
that's what I'm into. So. Real quick, I just want to touch on the openers. I saw that a band called Chapel, or an artist, I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're from here in Nashville.
Cool, I'll have to check them out. And then Wilderness, we're getting a little bit of a New Friends tour reunion here. Wilderness is opening some of the shows later in the year that I'm going to see, what I'm going to see in Columbus.
Yeah, I've known them forever, since before Andrew's tour, and I love them all dearly. So it'll be really fun to just kind of be out there with friends and have a good time.
I know we're going to notice that on stage, just you guys out there having a good time with your friends. I learned of Wilderness back in 2021 on the Rock Boat, actually, which is a different music cruise.
Yeah, cool.
They were on there, and then they were, of course, on Andrew's first holiday from Real Cruise. So I've been able to see them several times, plus with you guys on the New Friends tour. So a couple of last things. So looking back on your career so far, so you've been at it for a while. You're moving into a whole new era with this new album. What are you most proud of so far at this point?
This next record, that's what I'm most proud of.
Perfect. I've noticed that being an independent musician can't be easy, just from the outside looking in. It seems like there's a lot you have to keep up with. You talked about social media and, getting people's attention, getting the music out to the right people, planning the tour. What's the best way that we can support independent artists in this day and age?
Honestly, the free way to help artists is to like, comment, and reshare and all that stuff. It's like so easy for you to do, for anyone to do, and you gotta like support the people that you want to see win. Otherwise, they probably won't. And that's just like if the artist is posting like an album announcement or whatever, share it. And from like a financial standpoint of how to support an artist, like buy the merch from their merch store. Buy the merch at the shows and buy the tickets to the shows. And like, I think that's kind of been the same thing forever. It's just, that's the best way. Show up. But those free ways are so easy. Sign up for the mailing list and turn on notifications if you care about a band enough.
I got your Instagram notification for your Instagram community today. So with your announcement about another show coming up. So
yeah, cool.
I will continue to do that for
Thanks,
an artist like yourself, but also a lot of artists I follow. So
yeah.
It's become so much more important to me in the last years, not only to follow and support the artists that I love the music of, that's obviously what happens first and where it comes from.
Totally.
But also artists that I love what they're doing, who they are, and what they're about, what they represent. And I think that's what kind of keeps me attached, other than the music. So the music is obviously the pull, but so I'm going to continue that along that path. So if there's one takeaway, so final question here, if there's one takeaway that you want listeners to have from our conversation, what would be something you want them to take away?
That life is fast and it goes by quicker than you think. So slow down and enjoy what you got, because that's all we got.
I appreciate your time today, Jason. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Appreciate you.
Congratulations on the new album, Over Before You Know It, coming out in a couple weeks. I'll get my copy. I hope a lot of our listeners discover something new about Jason Singer, about Michigander, about their music, about what they're doing. Come out to the show. I know I have some friends coming out to the Columbus show.
Oh, awesome.
Meet me there. So
cool.
I actually have friends that are going out to Andrew's Denver event for the 11, the orchestra show.
Yeah.
And they're flying back. Then they're flying to Columbus. They don't even live in Columbus. They're flying to Columbus so they can see your show.
Oh, sick.
and then driving back to Cincinnati, which is a couple hours.
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Tell them thank you.
I will do that. That's Julian
Cool.
James from Cincinnati. So
thank you, Julian James from Cincinnati, Ohio.
But we appreciate it. You stopping by the podcast. And
yeah, thanks for having me, dude.
I'll look forward to seeing you on the tour, and good luck with everything this year.
Thanks, man. Talk to you later.
Take care.